Going live for the 10-minute pre-stream. Yep, 10-minute pre-stream today. Welcome to the show, whoever's out there. It is pre-stream time, coming to you direct from the Oasis, with all the computer glitches that go right into that.
Glitch, glitch, glitch.
Glitch, glitch, glitch.
Glitch, glitch, glitch.
Yeah, lots of computer glitches today, or this week here. Learning, setting up a computer to do streaming in a completely different manner than this computer was set up to do streaming before. This computer was not set up to do streaming with multiple people.
No, I don't think so. Although, considering it wasn't set up for it, you got to work pretty good in such a short period of time, I gotta say.
Yeah, well, I got most everything working. I even managed to get it so I could do all the graphics from here.
And that's perfect.
You know, and that was the nice thing, is I didn't have to do all the graphics remotely. It takes twice as long to do them remotely. Although I did have some issues around getting the software to fully function the way I wanted it to function.
Oh, no.
It just, I don't know, man. Some things are just odd. It's a problem of, you get a computer set up the way you want it. Get a computer set up the way you want it, and you work on a computer that's already set up the way somebody else wants it. And it doesn't always work. So, that's it.
Heads up, apparently a listener is having a hard time hearing you.
Having a hard time hearing me? Who's a listener? I don't see anything here.
Your other half.
Oh, can't hear me.
Your alter ego, that's what you call her.
My alter ego, my brain.
Yeah, your alter ego says she's having a hard time hearing you.
All right, is that better? No, I'm much higher voice now. See if that works.
Hopefully. Funny thing is I rarely hear a difference on my end.
Mm-hmm.
But then people who are listening, they'll say, "Oh yeah, he sounds way better now." But I don't really hear a difference. I think it's
just because you're hearing me through Discord, you're not hearing me through YouTube. And the biggest thing here is, one, I have to pick my voice up to full level, so the microphone picks me up, because this microphone is not overly adjustable. It's a lot further away than my microphone usually is, and there's, I guess I can get it. There's a little bit better of an adjustment for it, so it picks up better.
Oh wow! Actually, I heard a huge difference that time.
Yeah, well, it's got a convoluted method of support arms here, and they don't look overly happy, and they're not really happy here. It doesn't adjust all that much.
You know what's surprising?
What's that?
How very long it actually takes for people to set things up like their computer.
Amber's still louder. Well, I really having troubles dealing with that here because I don't have a mixer control for her.
Oh no, pen down. My note pen ran away. I got it.
Try that.
I lost the lid for my pen ages ago, so it rolls away.
There we go. All right, let's see what we got. All righty then. We're coming up on good music, bad singing. Just about time to roll it right up into it. I got to set up the countdown thing too. I got to get that program installed so I have the timer countdown so I can control my times a little better.
I didn't realize that was a separate program.
That's a separate program that I run.
All these things that you learn when somebody has to reset up their work area.
Mm-hmm. It's like whenever I set up a brand new computer, I always dread it, and that's why I always keep my old computer up and running for about 2 months, because there's going to be something as I got that I use and I just forgot I used, and I go to use it and go, oh shit, it's not on here. Take 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to get everything installed, activated, working, and then bring the files over from the other computer. It's like, yeah, it's a real pain. I got the same sort of event happening here.
Hey, Hamdian. Good to see ya.
Welcome to the show. The one that's going to be more entertaining today than usual.
Yeah, because I won't hear any of the sounds. I wonder if you're going to start playing pranks on me again like last time.
Oh, maybe.
You're mean.
We'll see. We'll see. It could be anything, man. But
Oh, well, at least everyone else will be entertained.
yep, yep, yep. The whole kit and caboodle will be entertained. Let's see here.
Kit and caboodle. You know, when I was younger, I thought it was kitten caboodle.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought people were talking about a kitten and a poodle.
Yeah, I don't even know the history of that term. I just know it's an old one. Goes back quite some time.
Well, I understand the kit. I wonder about caboodle, where caboodle comes from.
Yeah, who knows?
I wonder if it's a bastardization of a different word that's turned into caboodle over the years. Maybe it was something totally different to begin with.
Maybe it was kittens and poodles. All right, with that, let's have some good music, bad singing, and carry us into showtime.
Don't claim to know your story, don't even have my own. In the search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. They went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Preacher man discovered, passed down from saint to sage, like a kind-hearted lover who's been lost on this stage. Went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Crossroads, sitting doing time. Junkie and the jigger, just seen who done the crime. Captain pulled the trigger, guess who's doing time? They went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, is he yours or is he mine? Don't claim to know your story, don't even have my own. In our search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. We're missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Devil's at a crossroads, Joker's doing fine. Just sitting doing time.
It is showtime. It's time for us to get this wonderful, excellent show started, and off we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress plugins A to Z, not Z.
WordPress plugins. Hello. Hello. Can anyone hear us out there? It's episode 528, and we have plugins for duplicating, redirection, scroller magic, understanding the stars, pumpkin spicing, Halloween, and ClassicPress options, all coming up on WordPress plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from deep in the valley at the Oasis, I am John Overall. And with me is the ever lovely
Amber Overall.
And we have a great show for you today. This is the first WP Plugins A to Z from the Oasis, and it's just full of all kinds of wonderful technical glitches everywhere as I'm working from a new computer trying to get it all set up. So it will be a show, and it will be good, but it'll be a slightly off show today. After all, we are moving into a new era, and it is time for me to be told to...
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
That's your cue.
Okay, yeah, you're going to have to tell me about my cues because I can't hear anything.
I know, that's the whole thing. You can't hear the sounds that are being played, so I'm going to have to go, that's your cue. I'm going to have to do these little tidbits so that you know when they're played and what's happening and all this fun stuff. But yeah, I'll get this all sorted out for next week's show, but this week it is what it is.
All right. This is number 35 of 52 episodes for 2021. And here on the island, autumn is officially here. I can actually smell it. I swear, I can smell the ice rolling down off the hills. I know there's no ice yet. I swear I smell it already coming towards us. It's threatening us. I'm very much looking forward to Halloween, though. And so are my kids. They're actually already getting their costumes together. They decided to create costumes this year, and for once, they're actually doing it with a decent amount of time. So hopefully everyone else is getting excited for fall. It's my favorite time of year, not just because of Halloween. And remember to start dressing warm. Get in the habit of bringing that coat and get in the habit of being ready to put layers on. Although don't dress up too warm because the worst thing you can do is overheat and start sweating out in the cold. And for the last few weeks of somewhat nice weather, people manage to get outside and soak in that last bit of vitamin D before the sun runs away behind the clouds for 6 months. And remember to turn off that media. Don't try to cheat by just throwing on a TV show or something, because trust me, you're still getting completely bombarded by all that media-like stuff from movies and TV shows. So try actually turning off all media for about an hour a day. Turn off the shows, turn off the radio, turn off everything. Just listen to some music or maybe read a book, like a really relaxing book, and do that for about an hour a day, and you'll definitely feel a difference in your ability to deal with life in a much more calm way. At least that's what I find, and I think it works for just about everyone. Rinse and repeat as often as needed.
Absolutely. Don't forget, though, you can just keep playing the WP Plugins A to Z show. All right, it's time to head into...
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up! Thank you. And now the WordPress news with John Overall.
What, Amber? Your cue for news.
Well, see, because you always use Amber, see that's actually a good cue for me.
All right, what do we got this week in news? Let's see what we got.
First thing we've got is theme author survey results. Uploading via zip files preferred, SVN access forthcoming. So this is an article that talks about how the most popular choice for uploading is through zip, and how there's going to be tickets upcoming for adding in the use of GitHub Action for automatic deployment over SVN. It's an interesting read if you're using GitHub already and would like to have this option to start uploading from GitHub. I don't use GitHub, but I've noticed that a lot of developers are using GitHub, so I think this might be a good option. It's not happening yet, but they're talking about it.
Oh, absolutely. Could be a good thing.
Next one we have is Termly responds to feedback, updates its cookie consent better limits. So back in August, Termly completed an overhaul of the WordPress extension, turning what was once a free thing into essentially a commercial product. Users were only able to have 100 visitors. Then they had to pay for the service, and the lowest cost was $180. People really didn't like that because it doesn't take long for 100 people to visit a popular site, even a semi-popular site. So now Termly is responding by changing it to allowing 10,000 unique visitors. Not sure how pleased people will be with this either, considering it was free before, but I guess it's a start.
10,000's reasonable for a freemium plugin. It was, I think it was 100 was the problem with people. It's like, you took it from free to 100. Even a poorly visited site gets 100 visitors pretty quick. Even if they're not legitimate visitors, they're still visitors.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is they just said 100 visitors. Now they've changed it to 10,000 unique visitors, which means that if people were going back and back and back, they were being counted.
Yep. That's the other thing too. So yeah, unique visitors makes a world of difference. So I think this is a good move on their part to help alleviate the backlash that they received. Maybe it'll help them recover, but chances are they won't recover just simply because they've already done damage to their rep.
Yeah, but at least they're trying something.
Yep. Got to give them credit for trying.
Up next is Extendify patches of vulnerabilities in the Redux framework plugin. So WordPress found 2 vulnerabilities in Redux's new template browsing feature. This was due to a lax in permissions check on WP REST API points that the plugin uses. The patch had been put in place, and users are recommended to update ASAP. So if you want more detail, there's more in the article.
Okay.
And next one is Google is working on rolling out the ability to send users to the publisher's own web pages in addition to AMP pages. So this will be fantastic if they actually manage to get it working. In this article, they talk about the organic keywords that will drive the conversion, and they talk about where they are in getting this to work, when they hope it'll be coming out by, and how it works, and all kinds of stuff. And I do think this would be a great idea. Although it could also kind of screw over other things too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a half and half thing. Could be awesome, could also be really bad.
Yep.
Next up is Python is on the verge of another big step forward. So Python has actually been nipping at the heels of C for a while, and on the PyOb index right now, Python has almost become #1 it's almost surpassed C code. You can read the article for more depth information if you're interested, but I just found it interesting because I thought that Python was kind of falling behind, but with what's been going on, apparently Python has been working its way towards #1.
Well, that's cool for all you heavy programmers out there.
I'm not a heavy programmer, but I still think it's cool. I like the amount of languages that are out there. It's so interesting.
There's a lot of them.
I know, it's so neat.
It makes Go ahead.
Sorry.
The last one?
The last one I have on here is Adobe adds payment services via PayPal to its Adobe Commerce platform, which is great news for people who prefer using PayPal. And I can't remember everything because I forgot to write more down for my notes.
Yeah, that's okay. It's good enough that it's nice that they finally smartened up to capture a chunk of the market that just wouldn't buy it, because one, there was a period in my time where I didn't have a credit card and all I had was PayPal to pay for things, and if someone doesn't have a credit card, how do they make a payment? And that's where PayPal came in really handy. So,
in the extras, I have WordPress is opening for applications for in-person WordCamps. Lots of guidelines they have to follow.
tons of guidelines there.
Yeah, phishers impersonate U.S. DOT to target contractors after Senate passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill. These guys were pretty fantastic. I gotta tip my hat to their ingenuity. They actually took information from the government site itself in order to create the phishing site.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what they do. The phishing sites are done very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put them on some poor fool's hacked website.
Yeah. How to speed up hosting with static server cache. And a couple of things from TNW. It's a newsletter I follow. They have a few different ones. So the first one is from their big spam one. And it's got a video of a bread man who gets pushed onto the internet. So it's actually a German children's show. It's very interesting. Definitely recommend people go and check it out. And then also their neural newsletter.
Yeah.
And it's a story about robots versus dragons. So
sounds entertaining.
Yeah, so there's lots more in the extras. It's just all interesting stuff in there.
Alrighty. Well, let's roll this right along and get to talking about our time and talent and treasure, our 3 T's of the show.
It's time to donate to WP Plugins A to Z.
Absolutely. We're always in need of time, talent, or treasure to help support this show. And one of the first things we'd like to do is we like to recognize and talk about the talent and today's artwork that is being used in the show. And you'll see the artwork go up after the show goes up on the regular channel for the podcasters. We don't use that artwork on the YouTube version. But this week here, we've got Hal, Dave, from Angel Lemieux of Koa Digital, and he provided the artwork for us this week. It's a really cool piece of artwork, reckons back to Hal and was the inspiration for the title for the show today. So thanks, Angel. We greatly appreciate your talent for the show. And for those of you other artists out there that would love to produce some great artwork, hey, it's simple. Just go to WPPlugins.com and submit your artwork there. There's a link in the top of the page to take you directly to the artwork. And you can go look at all the other artwork we have, which we got a pretty good collection going now, which is really kind of nice to see that we've got a good collection of artwork going. So thank you to all our talented artists out there who keep submitting artwork to us. It's greatly appreciated. We also like to recognize those who provide treasure. And to do that, all you have to do is donate $50 or more each week. You get an executive producer credit for the show and a note read out. We don't have any this week, but we haven't had any for quite a while, so maybe people just aren't liking us, and maybe nobody's hearing us at all for all we know. But there are a few of you out there that donate much less than that. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate the few bucks that do come in. They don't actually make it to our pocket. They just sort of help offset the costs of getting the show produced or hosted and all the rest of those expenses which still exist. So thank you very much, and you can support the show by donating by going to WPPlugins.com/donate. Big thank you goes out to those who hire us because of the podcast. That's as good as donating to the show. And time, that is something we'll talk about a little bit later in the show when we get down to the contest part of the show. All right, this is where we head off into the meat potatoes of the show, what everybody shows up here for. All righty, this is where we talk about the plugins and ClassicPress options. And this week, I don't have anything new for ClassicPress that I'm aware of this week, but we do have a couple of links still in there for ClassicPress. You might want to go check them all out and see what they've got in there. And ClassicPress, as I said, the first couple years, they went gangbusters and then they went semi-quiet, and they're starting to move forward again. There was a lot of momentum in the beginning, and I think it was mainly driven by the Gutenberg project, but now people are settling in and realizing that it takes a little bit more work, and I expect it to grow up over the next 2 or 3 years. So we're going to keep them hanging around as part of the show, because eventually they're going to be doing something useful. In the meantime, though, since I still got to make a living and it's all about WordPress plugins, let's go into talking about the WordPress plugins. And for what I have for you this week, the first one I've got for you is called Redirection. This is, I saw it, and it's a relatively new plugin. It's not that old, and it's got quite a few active installations already, and it seems like it's a really great redirection plugin in that if you need one, this one allows you to create the usual redirections, 301 to 404s, the usual error redirections, but they've got a couple more things you can do with this plugin than just the usual one. You can set up inclusion and exclusion rules, whether they're logged in or logged out, specific user roles, specific refer links, agents, cookies, IPs, all kinds of things here. You can set up all of these different rules to redirect them to multiple places on your site, depending on what you called up the rule for. One of the great things that redirection is good for is if you're revamping your site or you're bringing it up to date and clearing out old content. You don't want to lose the people that are still trying to find out old content. Redirect them to some newer content that is still relevant. So that's where a redirection plugin comes in real handy. Okay, this is a really great one, something you want to go check out, and I give it a 5 dragon rating. It is Redirection.
Am I allowed to talk, or
Yep.
is it dragon?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
You have to make some kind of
Yeah, I
signal
know.
for when the dragon roar is done, because
Yep.
I don't know when you're doing it.
Yep, I gotta cue you. I forgot to cue you.
Well, no, that actually sounds really useful. I can think of quite a few things that they'd be useful for. So the first one I have was actually sent in by our producer, Greg Holdworth from Greg's Graphics. He sent in Yoast duplicate posts. And what he has to say: have you ever wanted to quickly make a copy of a page or post without the risk of running the published original? Do you need an easy way to duplicate a page for a new service or product? Do you want to make a quick backup copy? The Yoast duplicate post plugin lets you duplicate any post or page in WordPress with one click. It is always easier and faster to start from a copy. The plugin has 2 modes and adds 2 links to your post overview: clone and new draft. Clone makes a copy of that specific post or page. New draft copies that post or page and immediately opens it in the WordPress editor. Oh, that sounds really useful. There is a brand new feature called Rewrite and Republish. It allows you to seamlessly edit your content offline by creating a temporary draft. You can make whatever changes to your page or post without taking the original offline. This plugin can save you a ton of time. The best part, it is absolutely free with no pro version restrictions. It has over 4 million installations and a 5-star rating. And I give it a 5 dragon rating.
Absolutely. It's a really cool one. I reviewed this one many moons back, and I had picked at it a little bit because they just made some changes to it. And then I got contacted by them, and I went and re-reviewed it and brought it back up to date. So yeah, it's a pretty nice one. I've used it on a couple of sites, and I have another duplicator plugin that I use as my standard fare, but this one is pretty nice, so worth checking out.
Yeah.
All right, the next... What?
I was just gonna add, I like the fact that he put in Stars Roar.
Yes, Stars Roar. All right, the next one I've got here for you is called Stars at Night. And if you are an aspiring amateur astronomer, or, one that's already an amateur astronomer and just figuring out things, this is a pretty neat little plugin you can set up. And what it does is it produces onto your site tables of where the planets are going to be, where the stars are going to be, the times of rising, times they're falling, all those different things there. it gives you all these tables so you know what's happening, what's out there, so you can check it out and see. I don't understand it all fully myself, but I'm working towards trying to become a little bit better of an astronomer and looking and learning about the night skies, especially up here at the Oasis where you can actually see the night skies for the most part.
Well, you can see them now anyway. Who knows in 20 years?
Yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't build up too much like the city did. I used to be able to see them in Victoria 30 years ago, but not so much anymore.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. So at any rate, this is a really cool one. I kind of liked it, and we're going to give this a 5 dragon rating. Go check it out. On to you.
Okay. The next one I have is a Magic Scroller. So I was super excited about this plugin. Really stoked. And I tried on a couple of sites. It doesn't work, unfortunately. It's a new plugin. That could be the reason why. I'm trying to figure out how to contact the persons who made it so that I can let them know that's not working. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to change the color of your scroll bar along with the background of your scroll bar, the hover color, and the width and the border radius. You're supposed to be able to use hex, RGB code, or even just plain old English words for sizing, color, and border radius, or sizing and color, and also you can use pixel or centimeter for the sizing. Unfortunately, it just wouldn't work. I tried everything I could. I even tried codes that they didn't say you can use just in case, and nothing. Doesn't do anything. I'm really sad about it. So if I can get a hold of them and they can get it fixed, then I'm totally gonna make all of the scrolling bars hot pink, just randomly one day. But until it works, unfortunately, they get a 1 dragon.
Sad dragon. All right.
Yep.
All right. The next one I've got for you here. For those of you, like many of us, it is that time of year again when we start to think of the new year and the celebration of Samhain. And this is a Halloween countdown plugin for you. Really simple one. Tell you how many days to Halloween. All you got to do is turn it on, install it, turn it on, take the short code and dump it on any page you want, page, post, or widget. And that's it. It's just a simple countdown with some fancy graphics that are already built into it. I kind of like it. Thought it was cool. Start counting down to Halloween because after all, Halloween is the Celtic New Year and the official, really true Day of the Dead. So go check it out. And it's called Halloween Countdown, and I give it a 5 dragon rating. Your turn.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm so used to letting it cue you instead of me having to cue you.
Yeah, I don't want to talk over the dragon because I know sometimes you poke the button and the dragon doesn't want to wake up. So.
Yeah, well, he's a little slow some days.
Actually, I think I brought this last year. I rated it 5 too. It's pretty fun. The next one I have is Pumpkin Spice Admin. This is just a really fun one. Doesn't do anything except make your dashboard pretty. And I like the fact that when you plug this in, you just plug it in, let it go, and off it goes. It does its thing. It changes your menu items and your top bar into the pretty scrolly font that you see at the top there. And it has these leaves, and they come from the top, they float to the bottom, and they stay at the bottom.
Cool.
Except for on your plugins page. On the plugins page, for some reason, the leaves stop right on top of your first plugin, and then they don't move. I don't know why it does that. But every other page I tested on, no problem, and it doesn't happen more than once. It does change the coloring as well to it looks like cinnamon and caramel coloring to me, just off to the side. It's really pretty. It's fun. Nothing really fancy, and I do like the fact that it does not affect your front page. It only affects your dashboard, so it's just something for you. And I rate this at 5 dragons.
There we go. For those that like pumpkin spice stuff, I'm not overly into it myself, but what the hell. Yes, there are
Pumpkin
crickets
spice
here.
is awesome.
The crickets show up regularly. It comes from my other phone. I have no idea why it does that. It's something I set years ago, and it still does it on random times. And it is truly random.
I think they're just your pets.
Yeah. That's my pet. My crickets, they follow me everywhere. All right. It is time for us to move into our contests.
It's a contest. WordPress plugins from A to Z.
There we go. Yes. Contest time. And this is where we like to mention about giving time to the show. Our contest, the jingle came from Steve Goodtime, Brant Matthews. Thank you very much for that jingle. And we do like to thank Charlie for helping the show out and getting our contest actually working and moving forward. There's been a few things, that glitches in the system lately. We got to make sure some of the winners get their key codes when they're supposed to. But other than that, it's been going really well. And thank you very much, Charlie, for all the time and support you put into getting the contest working. We are working on a contest right now, which is running through till the end of the month. It is for Codexer deposits for WooCommerce, and this is a single domain site lifetime license. So this is a really cool tool if you're building out WooCommerce websites or have your own WooCommerce website. It's worth entering this contest because this is a license you'll never have to buy again to keep it up to date. And what it does for you is it allows you to set up your WooCommerce store so you can actually take a deposit on things. Like, for instance, if somebody's back ordering something or special ordering something, they can put a deposit down so you can ensure that they're serious about this and you're not going to build something that they won't pay for or change their mind about, because once they put money down, they usually get committed to it. So it's a way to take a deposit on things, and it's a really great plugin. Check it out on our website at WP Plugins A to Z/contests. I think it's contests. I forget which URL it goes to, which URL takes you to it. At any rate, and you can find it, enter the contest there, and also go check out their website and learn more about Codexer. Really great little plugin for WooCommerce. And we are running this contest until September 30th, just so we can get lots and lots of entries into it.
That'd be cool.
All right, so we have a Q&A time with Amber today, but before we go there, first thing we want to do is cover up a few things so we can play the closing credits and other things, because the Q&A with Amber is split into two. Part of it stays here for those of you people who listen only to the podcast, download, and for those of you who cruise on over to YouTube and catch the rest of it. So in this episode, I covered up Redirection, which I gave a 5 to, Stars at Night, which I gave a 5 to, and then Halloween Countdown, which I gave a 5 to.
Ah, you're all fives today.
Yeah, I got a full house. All aces.
Greg covered Yoast duplicate. I'm having a hard time with that word today. Duplicate posts, which he rated at 5. I covered Magic Scroller, which I rated at 1, unfortunately. And Pumpkin Spice Admin, which I rated at 5.
All right. And a couple of quick reminders. Meetups, we're going to eventually get a meetup gathered together here. Probably have one at the Oasis, maybe sometime in the winter, just so everyone can come out and freeze by the fire. If you're not getting enough of Amber and I, you can join us Tuesday evenings at 8 o'clock over at theroguestavern.com/live. And that's pretty much it. I think we should just move right along into Q&A time.
It's question and answer time.
Wow, that one was loud. With Amber. Yeah, that doesn't have any moderation on this computer. Wow. It's time for
glitch.
Yeah, lots of glitches, man. All right. So what do you got for questions for today?
Oh, first off, if anyone out there has any questions they'd like to have asked on the show, send them in to me at amber@wppro.ca, and I'll get them answered to my dad's ability.
Absolutely. And if I can't answer them, I'll just invent something on the spot to make it sound like I know what I'm doing.
Hamdian said loud.
Yeah, I caught that in my own ears. That's a very loud jingle, and I didn't realize it because I haven't moderated on my other computer. I have everything tuned on the other computer, so things aren't out of balance. That's the other thing, is the sound's going to be way out of balance. It's going to be the worst sound I've done for this show in God knows how long.
So my first question is, when you move, does your IP address change, or does your IP follow your account with the company you get your internet from?
Okay. Actually, we'll take our current internet provider, the major internet provider here, which is Shaw Cable. If you move from one place to another, no, I don't want a spam call right now. If you move from one house to another, your IP address does change, mainly because they have IP addresses assigned in blocks to particular neighborhoods.
Ah,
For the most part, unless of course in a case like me, I don't get it anymore because I quit paying for the static IP. But I used to have a static IP with them, and you pay extra for a static IP, and that IP moved with me wherever I moved to, which was very useful because then I always had my IP. Now nowadays everyone wants to hide their IP with VPNs, so it doesn't really matter. But the IP doesn't follow you. The other thing that can happen is even if you don't move, if you turned off your router for 24 to 72 hours, if you turned it off for that period of time, when you reboot it, it will get a brand new IP. Because that IP will be reassigned to somebody else because you get assigned a, what they called there, not static, it's I can't remember the word now, but it's a non-static IP address is what everyone has. And the reason you can have the same IP for long periods of time is your router renews its lease on that IP every 24 hours. And if the router never goes off, it says, yeah, I'm using the same IP, and the system goes, yeah, just keep it. Yeah, just keep it. Nobody else wants it. Just keep it. Nobody else wants it. Keep it. And it keeps doing that. But occasionally, they do just randomly change on you, too. I've had that happen. So the IP address going to your house is not permanent. It's something that it's temporary and it can change. But I've gone for extended periods of time without losing my IP because my routers never gets turned off. So
okay. And what about if you close your account, then open a new one?
same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
same thing. You close your account and open a new one, then you get all new everything. Because they just turf it, and all those numbers get reassigned to somebody else out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
yeah, IPs are having a static IP is useful if you're logging into specific computers or to servers or to other things, because then you can lock that device to only accept your IP address. The big problem is what happens if your IP address does change on you. How do you get back into that device? And that's the problem. So
I've seen plugins that do that. They'll lock your site into your IP and stuff. Now I understand why they don't seem to have that many downloads.
yeah, well, the problem with it is that it works very well, but if you decide one day you want to do it from your phone while you're on mobile data, you won't have the same IP that you had at home where you set that up. So now you can't get into your website. So they're a great idea, and they were good back in the day. In the early days, it was really easy to get static IPs, and they didn't charge you for them. But then they realized that the static IPs where the internet was running, we've literally run out of IPv4 addresses. And the IPv6 address is so convoluted that I still have troubles wrapping my head around it. But in a few more years, the IPv6 will be the standard IP address range used on the internet.
Indian said, I sometimes connect to my WP database with SQL Server on my PC. I have to put my IP into cPanel to allow this. Every once in a while, I need to update that number in cPanel.
Yep. Yeah, so see, he's already experienced having his IP address change.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it does happen.
My second question is, how is the internet provided? Can you provide your own internet?
Well, you can. You technically, the internet used to be, when you came to your home, you used to have to provide your own router. Now they provide a router for you, but you can still stick a router in there. So technically, you can provide your own internet, or in better terms, it's called intranet, because intranet is an internal network. Internet is the World Wide Web of stuff.
Okay.
And you could provide it. You could set up your own cables across the internet, and how it's provided is because of IP addresses and the routers that are out there and all the connections. It's like when you send data, say you send data from one side of town to the other, it doesn't go directly there. It might take a trip off through Europe or South America before it comes back to the house across town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the data is just provided with whatever gateway is currently open as it's heading across the paths.
Yeah, but how? I mean, I think I didn't ask the question right.
Okay.
How? What is internet in the sense of how does it exist? How is it there?
Oh, it's computers connected together through phone
How?
lines. Through
Through
phone
phone
lines.
lines.
Well, initially it was through phone lines. Now it's satellite, fiber optic cables through cables. We'll simplify it down to just say cables and connections. Computers connected together to provide information to each other. And that's what the internet is. I mean, initially it was just a handful of computers across the United States called DARPANET, and it was used for connecting universities and military people so they could talk to each other across long distances.
Yeah.
And they ran the data mostly straight through from one to the other. And then they started adding routers to route data in different areas. Like a packet, every time you send data across the internet, we're sending data across right now, every little chunk of it is packaged up in a packet. That packet is tagged with an ID on where it's coming from and where it's going. And
Hemdian said the internet is just a network of networks,
Yeah.
but the tech protocols has been standardized.
yeah,
Okay, so if you want to provide your own internet, really all you would have to do is buy your own
buy your
What's the word?
buy your own cables and routers and other things.
Okay, so if you don't want to pay like say Shaw because it's our biggest provider.
You can't get to it's hard to get. You would pay 10 times as much connecting directly to the internet without Shaw because you have to have a portal to connect to.
And that's what I was mean by can you provide your own internet? So
Yeah.
if you didn't want to pay one of the companies, why would you have to pay 10 times more for a portal?
Because you have to pay for access to it somewhere. You can't just go out and say, see those lines running across the telephone poles. You can't just go out there, run a cable into it, and tap into it. Well,
Okay.
you probably could. I wouldn't know how to do that myself, but you probably could do that. There are ways to do it. You know, if you get enough skills, there's ways to do it without paying the cable company. I imagine there's ways to do it. I just have no idea how that would work. You know, there has to be ways.
Okay.
You know, because lots of people they access the internet in multiple ways. I mean, there's so many ways to get into the internet, but I just don't know. I don't know them myself. And if you do enough research, you could find out.
Okay.
You could probably do it, but it may or may not be cost effective. And you know, if you did it yourself, at least you'd have less tracking.
Well, not
'Cause-
just that, but if you did it yourself, then you'd be able to take that anywhere with you.
Yeah. But many things can be done, but it's hard to know what's going to how it's done.
Okay, so I only have one more question.
Okay.
I'll read it out and we can close out.
Yep.
Okay. When you update plugins, sometimes they break, causing what I refer to as the white screen of terror. Easiest way to fix it that I currently know of is to go into cPanel, add on BRK to the plugin and to the plugin name, then go back and fix the plugin in the site, then go back to cPanel and remove BRK whenever you solve the issue. My question is, what do you do about a plugin that breaks when you do not have access to the cPanel and the plugin breaks, causing the white screen of terror to appear?
Ooh, that would be fun. All right. Well, we'll come back to that question in a moment or two as we let my girl take us out of here.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa2z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa2z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsa2z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA2Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
Alrighty. Let's roll this along then. Okay, the last question here is updating plugins and if it breaks, causing the white screen of death. Well, yeah, that's a simple way to fix it. The way to fix it is to go in, deactivate the plugin by changing a plugin name. If you don't have access to the cPanel or FTP, supposedly, I've yet to see it work, but supposedly WordPress added something into its system health plugin that will email you a link that you can click to, which will get you access to the site and deactivate the plugin. I haven't yet to see it work, but other than that, there's really nothing you can do. You have to find out who has the cPanel access or the FTP access, because somebody has it. Somebody has that access because the website got there. It didn't get there magically. It was FTP'd into place or set up through a cPanel or some sort of control panel. So that's the only thing you can do. You've got to get in there to deactivate the plugin to bring the site back so you can get back into it and work on it. There is no other way that I know of to do it. If there is another way, I've yet to discover it. So.
Okay, so really, unless you have access to cPanel, you can't fix a broken plugin like that.
Yeah, you don't know. You need FTP access or cPanel access, either or.
Okay, so how would you do it through FTP?
You just like cPanel, you go into the when you're FTPing in, you're in the file structure system.
True, so it's the same thing then.
Same thing. You go into the file structure and you just change the folder name on it through FTP.
Okay, so as long as you have access to one of those, you're good. But if you have access to neither, then white screen of death until someone gets access?
Until someone gains access to either one of those. Because you've got to get in there to manually deactivate it. There is no other way to do it. Not that I'm aware of. Now, supposedly, like I said, there's a new feature in the Site Health plugin. There are plugins out there which, if something breaks, they'll give you a backdoor access too. But I have yet to see them work. I've not actually tried to test them to see if they work. So, but supposedly they work, and there are ways to do it. But other than that, there's really nothing you can do.
Well, do you know how that works?
What's that?
You said backdoor access.
Yeah, well, they email a link to the system administrator, and again, if you're not the email address of record for the system administrator, you won't get the email either. And many sites I work on, I'm not the email address of record for a system administrator, because whoever set the site up is usually got the system email.
Yeah,
and most of the time they rarely ever get changed. So the best thing to do is, if you're going to go work on a site, make sure you have either FTP or cPanel access before you even start to do anything to it.
All right. That's definitely good to know.
I know I won't touch a site without FTP or cPanel access, preferably both, because sometimes it's easier to go through cPanel than FTP to do things.
Andy mentioned a couple of interesting things. Back to the internet one.
Mm-hmm.
He was just saying, like, providing your own internet, there could be legal issues once you provide your own internet and start getting out into the world.
Yep.
And he mentioned that depending on why you want your own internet, you can create a VPN. It uses real internet infrastructure, but creates a pretend network on top.
Yep.
So when he's working from home, he connects to the internet, then logs into his employer's VPN,
Yeah.
and he can access their file servers and databases.
Yeah, I do that. I do that when accessing my home computer. I go through a VPN for that.
Yeah, it's just
I've
I
been
think those are
using
good additions.
Yeah, I've been using VPNs for years. I used to have at when I used to have an office for doing this and more people working for me, and also when I had my computer store, I had my computer store set up on a complete network and VPN so I could log in and access any computer on the network. You know, so yeah, the internet is a convoluted construct of layers upon layers and networks upon networks. I mean, think about the dark web. You've got the dark web out there, which is, think of the internet. You think of the whole internet, the entire internet, as an iceberg. And that little bitty piece that everyone sees of the iceberg floating above, that's the internet that everyone uses. The rest of the internet is below that, and it's massive. And it includes the dark web, VPNs, internal networks, all kinds of things go right down deep into it. I have a client that I set up an intranet for them, that I run for them as an intranet. So it's like it goes crazy. There's lots of things that are out there for it. So the internet.
I just had an awesome image pop into my head. An onion, because of all the layers you were talking about.
That's why they
as an onion as an iceberg.
Yeah, well, an onion is an iceberg. That's also why they have that one router, that one browser that's used mainly for accessing the dark web, called the Onion browser, the Tor Onion router, because it takes you into the dark web, and it's like being an onion, layers upon layers of things in there to do. So one day I may go back to playing in there. I used to play in the dark web many years ago, but I haven't been there in a long time. I need a dedicated computer to it. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps everything up. All right. That's all we've got for you now. I think we'll just carry it along out of here, and a little bit of Days of Thunder to wrap us all up, folks.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have
folks. That's all we got for you now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Adios, mofo.
All right. Stream is done.